Hello all and welcome back to Broadside, and welcome back to my favorite series and the reason why this channel exists, our Herald video series.
It is our very existence we are fighting for.
All travelers arriving from the lower Dalmatian coast, visiting Maestro Jan Tenean house at the Guild Hall for all particulars.
Let's go! They have plenty of heralds in Assassin's Creed 3, and you better believe we're gonna go through them. This time around, I'm gonna savor the big pieces of news a bit more, however, because this is what I live for. So we will start in 1754 Boston and tackle some of the news items that I've gathered thus far. I'm thinking 2 today. Take it away, Herald.
Hear all! The Albany Congress has unified 7 colonies in efforts to convene a treaty with the Mohawk tribes.
The Albany Congress. This is an actual historical event that did occur at this time, so that's great news, first of all. Between June 19th and July 11th, 1754, delegates from 7 colonies met at City Hall in Albany to discuss, just as the Herald says, potential agreements with the Mohawks and other major Iroquois tribes. The delegates included men from Connecticut, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New York, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island, and they met daily over this period. I think it's fair to say that this set up and established a model that the colonists would more famously use in response to the Stamp Act in the Stamp Act Congress, as well as the First Continental Congress. So what was exactly covered in this meeting? Well, unifying the colonies was on the table, but not as an independent country. That would occur 2 decades later. Instead, they wanted to create a centralized force that could effectively deal with threats such as the French and employ collaborative foreign policies such as working with the Mohawks. I'll attach the battlefields.org primary source because it details the exact plan, which was suggested by Benjamin Franklin, a figure we have already had the pleasure of meeting in our playthrough of Assassin's Creed 3. Ever see that Join or Die snake cartoon that he published? Well, that came out around 2 months before this, and point to his general thoughts on the need for more collaboration within the colonies. So to quickly summarize, all the delegates supported this plan and thought it would pave the way toward better relationships internally and externally. The plan was, however, rejected by King George II and all individual colonial governments. So what came out of this then? Well, the goal of improving relations between the Iroquois and the colonies was achieved, despite the colonies sliding into war with France at this time and France's own native allies. That relationship was only moderately successful in the early part of the French and Indian War, and so the lasting impact that historians like to focus on is that precedent that the conversations at the Albany Congress set.
People of Boston, the earthquake on Cape Ann has demolished homes and churches. Help rebuild them if you are able. Pray for them if you are not.
Mwahaha! I knew it. I knew we would talk about this event. I called it in a previous video of mine. So let's get into it. The 1755 Cape Ann earthquake was and remains to this day the largest recorded earthquake in Massachusetts history. I'll pause for dramatic effect. Now, that being said, Massachusetts doesn't really sit on any active faults, and so this earthquake only cracked between a 6 and a 6.3 on the Richter scale. Even still, it rocked the colony with hundreds of buildings suffering damage. Apparently, people felt the shakes from Canada all the way to South Carolina. Fortunately, no one was killed because of this quake, and it was noteworthy enough for John Adams to remark on it in his journal, which I'll attach in the description. Chimneys and churches were some of the more common victims of this vicious shaking, which makes the script especially accurate. I should note that a lot of the damage was focused around the harbor because, any guesses? That's right, infill. This less sturdy foundation made this portion of the city more susceptible to earthquakes. Unfortunately, this is as true today as it was back then, and Boston remains dangerously close to disaster if there ever was a similar quake again. And that's where I'll leave it. We'll do 2 at a time, or maybe a few more if they're not as noteworthy, and I'll continue to march my way through Assassin's Creed 3 as we get ready for Assassin's Creed Mirage. So we need to get AC3 in a position where we can end it and not feel too bad about where we're stopping. And yeah, I'll continue to produce videos on all Assassin's Creed games, just in general. So thank you so much for watching and listening. Please leave a like and subscribe for more Assassin's Creed content. Have a great one.